All right, so South Carolina secured an enthralling victory over Texas A&M this past Saturday by the score of 44 to 20. And I'm not surprised by the fact that South Carolina won. A lot of us, including myself, consider this to be a trap game. A lot of the ingredients of a trap game were there. Texas A&M was coming off of a massive victory over LSU. They were riding high, feeling very confident about themselves, had a lot of momentum going into this game, and they were going into one of the toughest environments to play in, not only in the SEC, but in college football overall in Williams-Brice Stadium. That place is electric, especially on a Saturday night. And they brought it this past Saturday night. That place was loud. It was bumping, raucous, electric. They had the light show going, sandstorm going. Amazing game day presentation by the University of South Carolina's athletic program, their marketing fan engagement program. Caps off to them. That was one of the best things I've laid my eyes on this year in college football, was that pregame presentation from South Carolina and the presentation during the game. It was fantastic, and it definitely led to some miscommunication from Texas A&M and remarkable momentum swings from South Carolina. Yes, a lot of us expected South Carolina to win. A lot of the ingredients of an upset were there, a trap game were there, but I did not expect this to be a 44 to 20 victory for South Carolina. This game definitely turned some heads, and we have a lot to unpack here from this game. South Carolina, to me, they've been like a SoundCloud rapper these past several years. In Troy, New York, Albany, New York, where I'm from, there's a lot of SoundCloud rappers. And for years, they'll put songs out there on SoundCloud, and you'll see some get traction, some won't. Some will get 50,000 listens, some will get around 800. But all it takes is that one song to blow up, to get national recognition. And all of a sudden, you're a household name. That's how SoundCloud works. South Carolina, they've been a SoundCloud rapper. You've seen those glimmers of greatness out of them. You've seen promise. You saw it in the LSU game. You saw it in the Alabama game this year, where you're like, man, if the stars can align for this team, if everything can congenialize correctly, this can arguably be one of the SEC's best teams. And you saw that ultimately fall into place this past Saturday night. It ultimately congenialized, came together this past Saturday night. South Carolina, they went platinum against Texas A&M. They completely dominated the Aggies from the opening whistle on Saturday nights. They outrushed them 286 to 144. Texas A&M never had a chance in this game. South Carolina, they're an ascending program under Shane Beamer that's had some unfortunate breaks this year. Some late game antics against LSU costing that game. That final play, the 2-point conversion against Alabama, cost them that game. Just been the bounce of a ball. Sometimes the bounce of a ball can be the difference between 9-0 and 6-3. And in college football, those records look a lot different. South Carolina, they've even looked like the better team against multiple teams they played this year that they were underdogs against. LSU, I mean, we all saw that game. Don't lie to yourselves. South Carolina looked like the better team that Saturday. Yes, LSU won because of some unfortunate breaks that South Carolina had late in that game, some mismanagement. LSU was able to pull it off, but South Carolina looked like the better team. For an entire half on the road in Bryant-Denny Stadium against Alabama, South Carolina looked like the better team. For the entirety of the game this past Saturday against A&M, South Carolina looked like the better team. This is a very talented program. Shane Beamer does a remarkable job recruiting. And kind of like A&M, it's only a matter of time before this program really takes off. It just takes a few bounces of a ball going in the right direction for South Carolina, and we're having a totally different conversation about their season. Here's a stat for you here. South Carolina is plus 11.6 on average their scoring margin this year. That's top 25 in college football. So, yeah, they may have 3 losses this year, but don't let that deceive you. This is arguably a top 25 team. When you break it down to the nuts and bolts, this is a top 25 team. South Carolina, they have a top 20 defense. That defense is amazing. They allow less than 5 yards per play. You saw that really take place against Texas A&M this past Saturday. And their pass rush, it's insane. Number 4 in the nation in sack percentage. They get to your quarterback. You don't want your quarterback to go up against South Carolina, I guarantee you that. And this is another promising detail for South Carolina moving forward here. Lenore Sellers, he's only a freshman. So he's got at least 2 more years in maroon and black. That is huge for South Carolina because even though Lenore Sellers is only a freshman, he has amazing composure. He was so calm this past Saturday nights. And a massive game. There was no panic. There was just a calm confidence out of Lenore Sellers. He can throw the ball well. He can throw the ball great. But he is great on his legs as well. Very mobile quarterback. Tough to defend is Lenore Sellers. South Carolina's culture. You can't deny this either. Shane Beamer has done a remarkable job at crafting the culture of this team. And when you're very intentional about your culture, it's only a matter of time before your program takes off. All it takes a couple times is those few breaks. If you're obsessive about your culture, all it takes is the right opportunity, and you're taking off. You're accelerating. And the great thing about South Carolina, too, is that they've found their identity. They are a physical, ground-and-pound football team. Tough on the defensive line. It's hard to move the ball against South Carolina. And they run the ball right up the gut against you. Like I said, 286 rushing yards. Lenore Sellers and Rocket Sanders were unstoppable against A&M. And A&M's defensive line, people have been marveling over that these past several weeks. Shamar Turner, Nick Scourton, it's been amazing. It's like they weren't even there. Like Nick Saban said, South Carolina running through them like shit through a tin horn, man. Unstoppable. My opinion on Texas A&M, it doesn't really change at all. It doesn't need to. A loss is a loss. Texas A&M, they walked into a buzzsaw. There was only so much they could do on Saturday night to win that game. You're going in there. They got the lights going. The fans are going ballistic. That may be the loudest environment I've heard this year outside of Oregon, Ohio State, and LSU Ole Miss. That might be second or third on the list. Williams-Brice was deafening on Saturday night. So when you're at A&M and you're walking into that, there's only so much preparation that you can do to go into that and have all of your ducks in an order and be ready to execute. I thought they did as good of a job as they possibly could to keep it competitive, to keep the game within reach. They were just going up against way too much. Their cup was overflowing. South Carolina was it was just their night. You ever just watch a game and you're like, oh yeah, that's that team's night. They're going to win. The environment's just jumping. They're on. They're clicking. You could just see from South Carolina's first 2 drives, they were clicking. And there's only so much you can do to stop that. And A&M, of course, opening drive, they tried to go for it in their own territory, and they got stuffed on 4th and 1 by South Carolina. That's a huge momentum swing. When you start a game like that and in an environment like that, and it wasn't the greatest play call. They regrouped after that. But there's only so much you can do to overcome that, to overcome South Carolina's momentum on the road early in that game. Like South Carolina, A&M is an ascending program. They've gotten further than a lot of us expect them to be this year, and so props to A&M. But South Carolina, guys, it's time to stop overlooking this team. Just take the losses out of it. I know it sounds weird. Take the losses out of it and look at this team from a performance standpoint. From the standpoint of the makeup of this team, how they perform against high-caliber teams. They competed with LSU. They competed with Alabama. They belonged on the same field with A&M. They destroyed A&M. This is a legitimate football team. And a lot of you will push back, oh, well, ground and pound football, it doesn't really work anymore. It's kind of archaic. Yeah, well, how did Michigan win the Natty doing it last year? South Carolina has found that identity. They just have to lean more and more into it, and when the timing is right, this program is going to take off. And a positive thing for A&M here is they found their guy in Marcel Reed. The team is bought into him. He has won that locker room over, and it's indescribable. He just has the it factor. When the pressure mounts, he delivers. And that is the ultimate way to get your team, your locker room, to buy into you. Another freshman quarterback who's just composed, who's just constructed for big games. Love that of Marcel Reed. South Carolina and Texas A&M. They're both ascending programs with young, promising quarterbacks. And I can't wait to see what these teams do the rest of this year and these years to come. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you and the time that you took out of your day to watch the video. And if you enjoyed it, please be sure to like the video and share it, as well as subscribe to The Era. The more likes and subscribers I get on this channel, the more resources I can attain, and the more resources I can attain, the more value I can provide to you, the viewer. And that is how I show my appreciation for you for the time that you devote to watching my videos. So thank you so much, and have a great day.